Hello again, here today in the Tier 10 French Premium Battleship Bourgogne. We're on the map Land of Fire and the mode is Domination. So I am in a Tier 10, so obviously I am top tier. And with that said, no need to go too much over matchmaking. I'm in a battleship, so rather agnostic to what the enemy team has. So let's get on to the ship. So Bourgogne coming in with 74,700 HP, and if you take a look at her, she looks very familiar. She has essentially the same hull outline as the Tier 9 tech tree French battleship, the Alsace, and that is because she is essentially a up-rated Alsace. She has the same amount of HP, so the Alsace already has a rather middling to low HP pool for Tier 9, so for Tier 10 the Bourgogne is quite squishy. For just as a comparison, if we look here at this Moskva, if we look here at this Moskva, he has just about 64,000 health. The number's kind of hard to make out. 65,000 actually, sorry about that. So I'm only 10,000 up on the Moskva. And if I look here at this Georgia, another Tier 9, he has 74,100 health, so just a shade less than me. If you compare to something like, not the Conqueror, because the Conqueror is pretty squishy, the Montana here, pretty average HP, Tier 10, he has 96,000 health, so I'm more than 20k HP under. So that means I have an overall very squishy HP pool. Add to the fact that I have standard French battleship armor, that is, I'm covered in 32mm of external plating, which means I'm extremely susceptible to both Yamato overmatch and HE damage all over my hull. This makes for a very squishy battleship, just like the Alsace. So what's different from the Alsace? Why would I play the Alsace at Tier 10? Well, for starters, I have the same gun layout. It is the 12 380mm that the Alsace has. However, unlike the Alsace's horrendous, I want to say it's 1.4 Sigma, but it might be 1.5. But anyhow, unlike the Alsace's pretty poor Sigma to balance her 12 guns, the Bourgogne does manage to keep a 1.8 Sigma rating on her 12 rifles, which is actually quite scary considering the rest of her setup. In addition, she has much better stock range. Here you can see I have 24.8 kilometer range when compared to the Alsace, where when you have fully upgraded the Alsace, you only have about 20 kilometers of range. It might be a hair under in reality. So quite a bit more range, 24.8. Now the Alsace, despite having the 1.8 Sigma, still does have the German/French battleship dispersion curve. So don't go writing home about any superior accuracy. At range, the clusters still do spread out there. Wow, I actually have no idea how he got skimmed by that one shell. I just thought I overlet the entire salvo. But anyhow, she has superior Sigma, and she has a pretty good base reload of 27 or so seconds, I believe. Main battery module 3 in slot 6. I do bring it down to 24.5, which is quite impressive for a 12 gun salvo of 380mm or not. And secondly, the other difference, apart from her upgraded AA suite, she has a very Republic-esque AA suite, all in all. She has a different consumable loadout. So I'm just going to pop the speed boost. It's not the same speed boost as the Alsace, which you may be more familiar with. It is in fact a French cruiser speed boost, which I'll show you in a second after I finish blasting this gearing with the third consumable difference, which is the main battery reload booster. So the French cruiser speed boost is a 15% speed boost, which means you go up from about 30 knots to 38 knots, give or take, which makes you extremely quick for a battleship. So straight line, she does 38 knots with this French speed boost, and it lasts for 180 seconds. You can upgrade this, of course, with the special module. I don't have one yet for my Bourgogne, so I might mount one later, but we'll see. she is fairly squishy, so the fire prevention skills, or fire prevention module, does have quite a bit of value. So she has this French cruiser speed boost, which allows you to have extremely long legs and allows you to reposition very well. In addition, the speed boost gives you benefits in accelerating and decelerating, which means you can move around the map fairly quickly. Now the French 380, in spite of being a 380, sorry about that, is still a high velocity battleship gun. You can see the shell sailing across there. And so even though this Montana is a fair distance away, 17 kilometers, and has a impressive belt, then Montana is probably one of the more difficult ships to Citadel. She has no problem retaining her shell energy at range in spite of the small gun caliber. Now what makes her deadly is of course the other consumable which I touched on briefly just prior, the main battery reload booster. So main battery reload booster is the same as the one found on the Jean Bart, has a 20-second action time, and reduces your main battery reload by 50% over the duration. And so what this does is it gives the Bourgogne an incredible amount of burst damage. You pop the consumable and then you're firing 12 rifles on a 10-second cooldown for 2 salvos, which allows you to do some disgusting things. Hopefully I'll get to demonstrate it again. You saw it there earlier. Even though I had AP loaded, I just popped it for the gearing to get the most out of that brief period when we spotted him, and we were able to get a good 4,000 or 5,000 damage out of it. Now I'm quite far back, playing pretty conservatively right now because of the way where I spawned, but I am going to push in now that I have a better idea of where everyone is. Now French quads on the Alsace are pretty responsive with expert marksmen, as I have on this commander. You can see them swinging quite quickly, so it's quite a nice upgrade. My speed boost has expired, but that's fine. So I'm going to bring my ship around and bring my turrets onto target as I close the distance. As I was saying, the main battery reload booster gives you a significant amount of burst damage, so if you find broadside targets, you get to do some pretty disgusting things. As it stands now, I'm going to put fire onto this Fletcher, nothing much else that I want to shoot at. There is a Minotaur up ahead, so I do need to be careful about pushing in too aggressively. Don't want to get focused down. I'm going to stay on this side to create angles. Looks like he's slowing down. I want to create a nice concave so that I'm not sharing the same firing angle as the battleships over here, so that people trying to angle will have a bit more of a difficult time. There's an angled Montana over there, as well as a Des Moines who's border sliding. Let's see if we can't punish the border humper. So I'm going to pop my reload booster, then open up. And you can see here I have a 10-second reload while I do so. Looks like he's moving a bit more quickly than I anticipated. It's a bit difficult sometimes to hit border sliders, so just try your best. He's decelerating now, but I'm going to get one last good salvo out of the reload booster. Ooh, and slammed him there. He's pretty slow, possibly due to the border slide. I'm going to pop my speed boost so that I can make my turn. I'm probably going to turn out, so I'm going to have to survive one big chunking from that Yamato. Aiming at the superstructure there because I don't have 380 or 32mm overmatch. Going to touch the cap briefly, but once I get past this point, a nice 7k chunk there. Hopefully if I don't beach myself, that is. Oh, you see that Yamato? He's giving me quite a bit of cheek. And he's slowing down. Even though I'm right on his side. 2 ricochets there, so insufficient angle as of right now. But as I get closer onto the side, he's basically broadside to me at this point. If I had reload booster here, I would be able to punish him pretty hard. And a hard stop, use the speed boost to make sure I don't get too far ahead. You can see my ship slowing down fairly rapidly for a battleship. He's still creeping forward. So no citadels yet, unfortunately. I should probably have finished at Montana, but it's a bit late now. So my guns are misbehaving. You can see the German dispersion pattern there. Some of the disadvantages. He's hard accelerating, but I can't aim any further forward because of the mountain over here, so I'm forced to just leave him. I'm going to switch over to the Montana. He did burn down the Yamato, that is. Oh, I lost spotting. Well, no matter. So my reload booster is about to come up, so I'm going to wait for my guns to aim while I angle. Or guns to reload. So it's up, and he's basically perfectly broadside to me at 10.7. Pop the reload booster. Wow, what a disappointing salvo. What happened there? He's accelerating. Not accelerating that much though. So no citadels, unfortunately. But he did accelerate and show himself to me. I'm gonna hold my salvo actually. Not angled enough there against the Montana's AP, as you saw. "30 seconds left on my speed boost. I'm gonna stop reversing now at this point. Next play is obviously to remove the Minotaur from that position. Now my concealment is nothing to write home about, 13-2. And I'm the closest ship. The Minotaur is running RPF, so I do need to be careful. He has torpedoes, but, well, as you can see, at that kind of range, you're not going to survive a full salvo of 12 380s. So just imagine doing that to a cruiser that you catch off guard, just coming out of concealment at 13.2 kilometers, and then popping a reload booster and shooting salvos like that every 10 seconds. And you can kind of see where the Bourgogne gets her power. Now I am spotted, so I'm going to get harassed by that rune, but I did somehow manage to successfully take that cap. The Montana has eliminated, or my Montana has eliminated that Des Moines. I'm going to ignore the rune for now and turn my turrets. Probably going to charge the Montana, assuming I can make that turn. Nice easy weekend game. This is a pretty good anti-weekend ship because of her high burst damage. So burst damage in this game, well, is probably superior to sustained damage in some ways, especially on a battleship, which is a alpha damage class, that is a burst damage class. The whole premise of battleships is that they have kind of horrendous damage over the course of a game, but they have insane burst damage potential due to the high shell alpha, which allows them to do things like that. And so you have the Bourgogne, which has a healthy battleship broadside, unlike the rather anemic Jean Bart broadside of 8 guns, or the Repub's 22nd reload 8-gun broadside. She has a full-on battleship broadside of 12 rifles. However, you combine that with the burst potential of the main battery reload booster, which cuts her already pretty decent cooldown down to 10 seconds, and you get an absolute monster. So this is a pretty middling game on the Bourgogne. 150,000 damage, 5 citadels, 70 shell hits, 1 capture, and 1 ship destroyed. But nevertheless, you did get a taste of the Bourgogne's power. Team score-wise, 2100, nothing special. If you look at the damage over here, so we got a nice big chunk out of the Montana. There's that Minotaur that we absolutely deleted. The one good salvo on the Des Moines and a couple other glancing salvos. Some damage on the Yamato. Oh, we did actually end up hitting the gearing for 9,500 with the main battery reload booster, and that was with armor-piercing shells. So don't underestimate the power of AP shells into DDs just because they have the damage reduction or damage cap of overpens only. If you slam enough shells into them, as you can with the main battery reload booster, it's still a big amount of damage. So yeah, fairly tame game from the Bourgogne. So the Bourgogne is available as a reward ship from the armory. For the low price of, what is it, 30,000 steel? I think it's 30,000 steel exactly. This is her default perma camo. There is another perma camo available. I believe it's called Ultimate Rhino or just Bourgogne Rhino, which has a reddish pattern. But this is the default camo and default palette. So as you can see here, I'm just going to go over the armor layout. Uniform French armor, so that is 32mm plating pretty much all over, and then high tier superstructure of 19mm. The turret armor is pretty light. This is 430mm of armor. Just to compare, for an actually heavily armored turret in the Yamato, let's say, I'll use my Musashi just out of convenience. Musashi has 650 on its angled slope. So her turrets are relatively fragile, so if people shoot at your turrets in the Bourgogne, they can actually destroy them and or damage or disable them, so do be aware of that. AA wise, she has a relatively modern AA suite. So if you look at long range, the damage per second is 298, mid range 928, and this compares pretty favorably to the Republic, another battleship with pretty good AA, with long range being an identical 298, but mid range on the Repub being an identical 928, so pretty much identical, which is actually coming up to being good AA. And then it actually has a short range aura, unlike the Republic, which has a pretty decent 315 continuous. So anyhow, that was the Bourgogne. A pretty good ship. If you're a battleship main, well, I can't recommend her enough. She's extremely fun. Doing 38 knots in a battleship is just ridiculous, and having main battery reload booster on a 12-gun salvo is really, really nasty. And there it is, the Tier 10 Bourgogne. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.